Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. This video is going to be my Geekly wrap-up for the week of March 23rd through March 29th. This week I finished reading one book, 3 graphic novels, and I played 2 board games. We are also now starting the sort of 5th week in self-isolation because of this pandemic, and boy, let me tell you, I am really glad that I buy too many books because it turns out it was exactly for a moment such as this one. So let's go ahead and talk about the books that I read this week. I first finished Mooncakes, which is a graphic novel by Wendy Xu and Suzanne Walker, and this is an absolutely adorable little standalone graphic novel. I believe it started out as a webcomic, but now it's finally been made into a paperback book. And it is about these 2 young magic users. There's a young witch named Nova and a young werewolf named Tam that are basically trying to solve a mystery of some magical mishaps that are going on in their area. Tam is a werewolf and they have this whole sort of weird history with their dad, who is this cultist that is trying to basically harness the power of werewolves to strengthen demons. So Tam kind of has to run away from their dad and go be with Nova, who has these absolutely adorable grandmothers that raise her and, basically teach her how to be a witch and use magic. Nova's deaf and wears hearing aids, and a lot of the sort of interesting thing about the magic system in this book is that there's actually a whole lore for deaf witches and wizards that's in the book. So basically Nova learns how to cast spells without having to be able to say words or hear words or something like that. So entirely somatic spell casting. And there's a whole entire thing in the back of the book about magical audiology that I thought was really interesting. I think you probably inferred already, but this also has non-binary representation because Tam is a non-binary werewolf. Tam is me, okay? I freaking love Tam so much. They were super awesome. I think that both of these characters went through a really great arc together, but also as individuals. I found that the romance between the 2 of them was super sweet. I absolutely loved the elder lesbian representation that we got with Nova's 2 grandmothers, and also just the emphasis on family and community that was found in this book. There is a scene in the book where they're building a sukkah together to celebrate the Jewish, it's sort of like a harvest festival of Sukkot, and sort of all the family members come back to visit and hang out, and Nova's parents, who have passed away, they come back as these sort of force ghosts in Star Wars. And I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was soft, it was sweet, it was exactly what I needed right when I read it. All right, now for the book that I finished this week. Knocking things over. I continued my reread of the Redwall series with Outcast of Redwall by Brian Jakes, which I believe is the 8th book in the series. It wasn't great. I'm just gonna come out and say it. The entire premise of this book, I feel was a bit of false advertising, because the synopsis of the book says that it is supposed to be about a young ferret, and ferrets in the Redwall universe are traditionally considered to be more inclined towards evil or mischief, or basically they don't have a very good moral compass in this series. And the back of the book is this is going to be about a young ferret who's adopted as a baby and raised among the denizens of Redwall Abbey, and can he overcome his sort of nature, his sort of natural inclination towards lying and stealing and all of that stuff in order to belong with the folks of Redwall Abbey. But this book really isn't about that. It's kind of about this rivalry between that ferret's father and another character who's a badger called Sunflash the Mace. Basically, I saw somebody on Goodreads say that he was the Mary Sue of all badger lords, and it's it's kind of true, because he's really boring as a character. He does not go through an arc at all. The only thing interesting about him is that supposedly he is born to become the leader of all of the badger lords, but basically we just see him fight a lot and swing around his magical, mace in a fury of bloodlust, and he doesn't really have much character growth except for the fact that he fights and then eventually he gets what is prophesied is always going to be his. Not very interesting at all. And then the sort of ferret character named Vale, that's supposed to be the one that we figure out can he be redeemed or not, doesn't even show up until halfway through the book. Even then he is a little infant, and so he's not, talking or anything like that. And then when he gets older, he sort of becomes like the whiny Kylo Ren of ferrets, and he's basically just like, oh, everyone always thinks the worst of me. Everyone thinks that I'm so evil, but I'm not. But then really he is just doing all of this shitty stuff on the side, like stealing people's honeypots and throwing them into the lake. And he, you know, there's this whole plot of whether he poisoned somebody or not, and he acts all like remorseful, like he didn't do it. And then it turns out that he did, and he just apparently never cared for the people that raised him and didn't have any meaningful relationships because he was a ferret, and ferrets are evil and can't be redeemed. So I kind of really wonder why this book was written then, because if you're going to set up the question of can an evil character be redeemed, if the answer is not yes, there needs to be a compelling reason that subverts the reader's expectations of the reasons why that character couldn't be redeemed. So the reader expects the character won't be able to be redeemed because he's a ferret and ferrets are naturally less good in this world. But if you're actually going to tell a story, you can't just go with the obvious answer. I don't know. I feel like more work needed to be done here in terms of the story craft, but I will report back to you because I'm continuing with my reread of the Redwall series. This one, though, I had to give 2 out of 5 stars because it just wasn't very good. Okay. Not Redwall, but also mouse related. I finished up the first in the 3-book arc, Mouseguard and the Black Axe. This directly follows the Fall and Winter Mouseguard comics, and interestingly enough, this is a prequel told as a flashback, which sounds like it would be terrible, but it's actually amazing. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and basically we go from our young patrol mice that we met in the Fall and Winter books. Liam, he is the like new recruit Tenderpaw that's kind of the protagonist of those, and he's having this flashback as he's recalling the legends of the Black Axe. And in the world of Mouseguard, the Black Axe is kind of like almost like a Robin Hood or a Dread Pirate Roberts type figure, where it's a title that gets passed down and it's been held by many people over the years, and nobody knows the true identity of who the Black Axe is, but basically their job is to kind of be like an unattached third party that goes in to sort of be a legendary hero and right these great wrongs. Basically, the Black Axe is empowered to do things that the normal Mouse Guard and the normal governments and stuff of all of the mouse territories aren't able to do. And usually it's something that is like, oh, the person that wields the Black Axe has to prove themselves that they're worthy of holding onto this amazing weapon. I think in this book, we got really into the meat of what I love about this world so much. There was so much world building and lore and magnificent illustration that went into this. All of the chapters, or like individual issues, if you will, are framed as though they're from this hand-illuminated manuscript, almost like a book of Kells or like another medieval illuminated book. And it really brings home how important stories and legends are in the world of these comics, so I really loved that. Like I said, gave this 5 out of 5. I am ready to get started on the next arc of the Mouse Guard comics, which is called Legends of the Guard, so you will probably be hearing about a lot of that from me very soon. And then I also finished the book that I read for the Queer Lit Weekender, which is Cosmo Nights by Hannah Templar. I just made a video where I was talking about this, and I said that the pitch of it was really simple. It's sort of like punk, neo-medieval, feminist knights in space. There are a lot of queer characters, a lot of trans characters, and this book was fine. It was just okay. I thought that the main standout thing for me about this book was the color work. Like, there are some truly just breathtaking splash pages here, truly breathtaking spacescapes, but also like pictures of the knights that are jousting and stuff like that. And the basic conceit of this world is that these knights compete in a series of jousts that happen all over the world, and basically competitive games. And in return for winning the jousts, they are awarded the hand in marriage of the various princesses of the world. And basically, this is how power and territory and land and women's bodies are controlled in this world, is that they are all just sort of like very transactional through this display of what would be like a traditionally hyper-masculine kind of sport. And our main character is named Pan, and Pan comes across a sort of secret cadre of people that are competing in the jousts, and their goal is to win the jousts because they are the best fighters. and basically like free the princesses when they win the princess's hand in marriage. So she meets up with these two women who are really like, I don't know if it's unclear, because sometimes there are pronouns that change, so I'm not sure if that was like an instance of that person was being misgendered, or it was that person actually uses more than one set of pronouns. So anyway, she meets up with these two folks that are in a sort of sapphic relationship. Let's just put it that way, because that's probably like the closest to canonical that I can get. And they are part of this secret club that is liberating the princesses and whatnot. But they end up realizing that they won't actually be able to affect that much change just by winning fights, because they can't fight forever. They won't be, young and strong and energetic forever. And as they continue, they're getting all of these injuries. Think of like, professional sports, how the athletes get injured over time, and like it affects their ability to do their jobs. That was a very long, rambly way of saying they join forces with this hacker character that wants to take the whole system down from the inside out. And I thought this book was good, but I really felt like it was just setting up a bigger world, and I do wish there had been a bit more of a payoff in terms of the story here. Like, I thought that the illustration was great. I thought that the storytelling through image was wonderful, but as far as the story craft goes, with as long as the book is, I would have liked to have seen some more of the world and some more of the main character's development, because right now, Pan just sort of goes around and is like, wants something more out of her life. She really wants to meet back up with the princess that she was best friends with as a child, and I think she's kind of fallen in love with. But the main character just really sort of just went around and other people did things, and she didn't really get to do much of anything. I'm like, interesting. So I believe that this is supposed to be a series. It definitely said to be continued in the back, so I don't know if there's one more volume, many more volumes. We'll see. But yeah, gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, then we played a couple board games. One of them was one that we got new, and this is a game that I've been dying to share with you all ever since I demoed it at Shucks 2019, and that is Chai. This is one of my new favorite games. It is about making and serving tea, because yes, I'm totally a type. I even have my real life teacup here while I'm talking about a board game that's about tea. So the concept behind this game is it is basically a what would I call it? It's not really worker placement game, but essentially you are working to take various actions to go to a pantry and get tea ingredients, or get like condiment things that you would add to your tea, and you are trying to fulfill these customer orders. So a customer that is not worth very many points might want a tea that has like 2 berries in it, and that's it. A customer that is worth a lot of points might want tea that has maybe like 6 different ingredients. So you're kind of trying to balance taking your actions with fulfilling customer orders, and you want to do it before other people do so that you can get better tips. The game comes with these absolutely gorgeous, these are plastic, but they look like terracotta little teacups that have kind of the artwork from the game 3D printed or cast onto the sides. So there's like the swirling steam coming out of the tea mug, and then the little, I don't know if you can see it here, but the rim of the cup has these little outlines of all of the different tea leaves. I really, really like this game. Sean and I have gotten to playtest a couple versions of this, like I said, at Shucks and also at PAX Unplugged last year. We've also play tested the upcoming Chai Tea for 2, which is going to be on Kickstarter sometime this May, I believe. I'm not sponsored to say any of this, by the way. I just like to share this information because I think it would be useful if you want to learn more about these games. But I will go ahead and link the information for the studio down below. And yeah, I really enjoy this game a lot. I think it is a really strategic game at 2. I mean, it is somewhat luck-based because the pantry and such restock by means of just randomly drawing the tiles from a bag. But I think that there is some real strategy that goes into it. I would like to play it at a higher player count. I think we played a playtest game at 5, and that was a lot, but I'm not sure if that was because it was also in a convention environment. People were really new to the game. There were a lot of loud noises and a lot of distractions going on. So I would definitely like to teach this to my friends and play it with people in real-time life meat space when all of this is over. So that's a try. And then we also revisited the game that Sean got me for my birthday this year, which is called Role Player. I've talked about this already, so I will go ahead and link the video where I explain what it is, but the one-sentence pitch is it is a dice drafting game about creating a fantasy adventure character. And we played for the first time with the Monsters and Minions expansion. Essentially what the expansion does is it adds another option that you can do instead of the market phase. So in the base game, after you take turns drafting your dice and such, you get to go to a market and buy cool adventuring gear for your adventurers. In this version, there is a boss monster that everybody has to fight at the end, and there are various things that you can do to prepare. And then there are minions that instead of taking the market action, you can choose to go fight a minion instead, which gives you bonuses that add towards your points at the end of the game, usually, but if you roll really poorly fighting the minion, you can become injured, which gives you negative at the end of the game. I thought it was a nice, interesting layer to add. Aside from the monsters, though, I think one of the things that really does make this game, or this expansion, really awesome is that it adds scroll cards, which are really awesome but expensive power-ups to the market. It also adds a bunch of new class options, background options, alignments, player character races and stuff like that. And also the implementation of something that is totally unnecessary but I find adorable is a score sheet that actually looks like a little miniature D&D character sheet. So if you want, you can actually record a mini character sheet when you calculate your score. I still really want to make characters this way as a minigame and then go put them into an actual D&D campaign and see what happens. So it was great. I managed to eke out the narrowest of victories and beat Sean by just 1 point, which I honestly couldn't believe happened. He is so hard to beat in board games. So that is going to do it for this week's Geekly wrap-up. Please do let me know down below in the comments the things that you have been enjoying over the past week. I also wanted to say thank you to the many of you that have reached out and expressed your gladness that I made my How to Build Mental Resiliency video. Thank you all so much for watching that and leaving such good comments on it. That's really kind of you, and it does actually make me feel really happy knowing that people are watching this and that they're finding it helpful. So if you like this video or that video, or really anything I make, and you'd like to see more of what I do, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to my channel because that's the best way to get updates every time I post a new video. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!